Okay, in this video I just want to have a bit of a chat about what's meant by the sharing economy, and that's how that's impacting the economy and consumer behaviour. So basically technology is continually updating. There's been an increase in the quantity and quality of knowledge available to consumers through things like the internet and various apps and so on and so forth. So widespread access to the internet has allowed buyers to make more informed decisions than ever. So you can go online, you can access independent reviews, you've got websites where you can compare different products. And one of the biggest changes that's occurred as a result of the internet is the rise in this thing called the sharing economy or collaborative consumption. So the main things that have increased this idea of collaborative consumption is the internet, social media, and basically smartphone technology. So various apps and devices that allow you to communicate easier with people. So the collaborative consumption is basically what we call a peer-to-peer rental scheme that enables people to earn extra income from expensive and underutilized assets such as power tools and cars and spare rooms and so on and so forth. So it's basically when you were peer-to-peer, consumer-to-consumer, citizens renting things to each other to earn income from stuff that they're not using, like assets and power tools and cars and things like that. So it's not overly complicated. It's basically just renting out the stuff that you're not using to other people. So it helps those looking to rent these items from having to purchase them, and instead they can rent them out. Renting from peers on one-off occasions is generally cheaper and more convenient. So it's one of the advantages of this is that you can rent, your power tools rather than if you're just sort of building something on a one-off occasion rather than buying the power tools to build your pergola, you can just rent it on that one-off occasion. So technology has made this a lot easier because its internet payment systems have been a lot more streamlined so that you can pay people really quickly. So anyone who's been on an Uber will know how that works. Social media has allowed people to communicate a lot easier and establish trust with one another, and smartphones have allowed people to get access to apps and things for all these different ideas. Satellite positioning has also made it easier for people to know where everyone is, so how far people are away that are offering certain services. So that all these things, easier payment systems, the establishment of the internet, the establishment of smartphones, social media, and satellite positioning have all made the sharing economy more possible. And it's created these new businesses like Airbnb and Relay Rides and the one where you share your dogs, Uber, and so on and so forth. So the idea is that the sharing economy is more efficient because rather than having to buy everything that we're using in a one-off occasion, it's allowing people to just rent things for one-off occasions, which is helping to boost their material living standards because they don't have to fork out so much money every time they use something. So what's really important and what we didn't really touch on in class as much is some of these strengths and weaknesses of the sharing economy. So in terms of strengths, one of the main strengths is that consumers can get access to goods and services via renting them rather than have to fork out lots and lots of money to purchase these goods and services. Other examples of strength is that citizens can get money for assets they're not using. So it's an advantage to the buyer, but also an advantage to the seller because they can get access to money they're not using. So for example, some common examples are people like going on interstate trips. They can rent out the seats in their car so that they can all share the gas money. And they can all save money. So rather than going, separately with 4 different people, you can all go into one car with a bunch of strangers and save money by doing that. It's more efficient because consumers get what they want at a cheaper price. So now we've got things like Uber and Lyft in America competing against the taxi industry. It's a lot more efficient because it's a lot easier to get a lift, but it's also cheaper and they have to provide a better service because of the increase in competition. It's providing increased flexibility for workers. So people that are working in the sharing economy industry are able to work sort of flexible hours. Uber, they can put them sign on and off whenever they want. You might be involved in renting assets or renting out your services. You can do that whenever you like. It's also leading to a lot of people outsourcing traditional tasks. So things like people are getting their dry cleaning done, people are getting handiwork done around the house, all via this sharing economy. And it's also helping to reduce the rate of unemployment because a lot of people are working in this industry. There's around 3 million people, I believe, in America working in the sharing economy, and that's helping to create jobs for people that may have struggled in the past to get work. So they are the main benefits. In terms of the weaknesses, if you don't have a smartphone or an app, it can be really hard to get access to these goods and services. There's a lot of power for companies to still reduce wages, and they don't often have to pay their workers things like health insurance and sick leave and things like that, or different types of... The rights of workers are a lot less in these sharing economy industries to try and save costs. Money is also drained from the public transport industry, so less people are catching trains, less people are going on trams, which is hurting the government because they're generating less revenue. Hotels and cab industries are also suffering, so there's a range of different industries that have been around for years and years that are suffering as a result of this sharing economy, because Airbnb means that less people are going to hotels. The cab industry is suffering because Uber's now a source of competition. And because these industries are suffering, and because the sharing economy industries aren't as highly regulated, it can lead to a lack of revenue for the government. So while these industries are paying company tax at around 30% every time they make a profit, a lot of these sharing economy industries are not regulated and not necessarily paying the taxes they should. It's also limited safety inspections, so they may not be up to scratch. Other people have been involved in faults or scams, so people have been scammed that have been involved in the sharing economy, and there's different examples of that, whether it be somebody says he's renting out their Airbnb house and it's not up to scratch, or you can't get the keys, or so on and so forth. So people have lost money because they've been involved in dodgy people involved in these industries. And the other negative is that work is very spasmodic in these industries. So there's no guaranteed income. You may only get 7-8 hours work a week, and therefore you can be paid less than the minimum wage. So even though that it has a lot of flexibility for workers, there's a lot of rights that they don't have, and there's no real safety net in terms of a guaranteed wage. Thank you.